So thank you for having me here at the Healing Garden. Can you all hear me okay? I'm usually a pretty loud person. I'm delighted to have a chance to speak to Stow residents. I'm always, does anybody here know the Healing Garden very well, or what we do, or ever been there? So I like to check and make sure I'm not speaking to the choir here. You know? Yeah. You read up about us? Yeah, yeah. So Dick Mortensen, Bill Thurston, who founded the Healing Garden, was the general manager of GenRad, General Radio, many, many years ago. He's 96 years old now. He has moved actually back to the Concord area. And he was at the annual meeting, the GenRad alumni meeting, where I met Dick, and Dick heard Bill and I speak, so he invited us here to speak to you guys as well. So I'm delighted to do that. As the bio said, my whole career has been in oncology. I've been in research, I've been in clinical setting, and now I'm at the Healing Garden, which is a cancer support center. And laughingly, yes, our name could not get possibly any longer than it is. It was started as the Virginia Thurston Healing Garden. Everybody that ever heard of it thought we were a garden, which we are not. We have beautiful gardens, but we are a clinical support center. We have a facility. We happen to be in 8 acres of gorgeous gardens, but that's not the focus of what we do. So we added Cancer Support Center to it to help define that for people who were finding us and not knowing exactly what we were. Bill is still alive, and so we can't really take off the Virginia Thurston, but everybody that knows the Healing Garden and the clinical community that refers patients to us refer to us as just the Healing Garden, but they know what we do. So we were founded in 2000. This is Bill Thurston, and the picture in the background is Ginny Thurston, his wife. They resided in Harvard for many, many years, amassed different parcels of land till they had 12 acres in Harvard where they built their dream home. And he had had a cottage there first where he took care of his mother while they were still just renting. And when Ginny passed away, he was really profoundly impacted by how challenging and difficult it is to care for someone with cancer, because much of what happens to cancer patients happens in the medical facilities, and it's a day kind of thing. You go for chemotherapy, but they send you home. And the nausea and the vomiting and the pain and discomfort and the sleeplessness and the anxiety happen at home, and who knows how to take care of all of that. So Ginny participated in, at that time, Neshoba Valley Hospital had a support group. They also were very forward-thinking people of their generation, and they participated in complementary, at the time it was called complementary therapies. So she had oncology massage, she did hydrotherapy, they had a pool, so she did therapeutic PT, physical therapist, did training with her in her pool for pain management. She also availed herself of acupuncture, believing that there were many different principles in the worldwide view of health and wellness. So Bill thought she did a great job and everyone should have access to this. So he founded the Healing Garden in her memory. He carved off 2 acres and gave the cottage and $200,000 for 2 years seed money to start the Healing Garden. And at that time, it was just intended for women with breast cancer. And he also then allowed the Healing Garden to have access into their lower 8 acres. And Dick said he had been over there working on some of the gardens that were part of the Thurston's private residence. She became a master gardener before she passed away, and he was an engineer and the brawn behind it all. And so they cleared all of this woodland and created beautiful landscape outcroppings, water features, and so we have access down into those lower gardens. In 2008, we had a capital campaign for $1 million and renovated the building, expanding it to be 4 times the size of what was originally there. It's all been updated, so we have treatment rooms for the work that we do and large meeting areas and offices now. And this is the front of the new building. In 2012, when I joined over there on the board, I told them that you can't possibly keep this from everybody and only be serving women with breast cancer. There are men, there are women, there are people with colon cancer and lung cancer and brain tumors, and they don't have resources. And the board was skeptical and the staff were skeptical that they would know how to service these populations. But everything that we do, which is providing the psychosocial and physical supports for people who are newly diagnosed, in treatment, people who are post-treatment, who are having post-traumatic stress disorders because of this diagnosis, and those people that have recurrent or advanced stage metastatic end-of-life disease all benefit from the integrative medicine that we provide there. So these are pictures of the Thurston's lower grounds, the gardens that we have access to. And there's a lot of nature therapy that we do. It's been, if anybody ever heard of forest bathing or Jinshin Roku, Japan did 2 decades ago, spent money nationally to analyze cohorts of people that spent time immersed in nature. And they did biophysical measurements of their cortisol, of their stress responses and their immune responses, and it's been documented that immersion in nature actually influences our immune response, an elevation of all the good things that happen when we reduce stress in our lives, including T-cell activity, which is aligned with cancer activity. So there's a water feature, and I don't know if, Dick, this is one of the ones that you did. This is a back sensory garden, so there's a water fountain in the center and a circular wall. A local Eagle Scout built, I don't know if you could see it, but that wooden bench is circular and has a planter on either end. He did it in memory of his mother, who was a client at the Healing Garden. She passed away, leaving these 2 12-year-old twins. And by the time he was 13 and a half, he was eligible and had his Eagle Scout project and had this installed at the Healing Garden in memory of her. So we receive patient referrals and self-referrals from people all over the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. People come from 165 towns and cities in the Commonwealth. Of course, the majority of our patient population are close to Harvard, so they're Acton, Stow, Harvard, Bolton, Lancaster, Concord, and then it spreads out. They're coming from everywhere. And now the academic treatment centers, Mass General, Dana-Farber, and the community centers know that we provide low cost and free care. So they're sending their most vulnerable patients, those patients who not only have cancer, but they're unemployed, they have mental health issues, they're at home caring for elders, they're jobless. So they're complex people, but Bill's philosophy was that everyone should be able to receive help. We're a service organization. We raise our budget 100% from philanthropy. So we rely on the communities to participate. So we get funding from local Lions clubs, from Rotaries, from police departments. I do grant writing to foundations. We look for corporate support. We often have miracles at the Healing Garden where the flowers are blooming right through the ice and snow. We have money that drops out of the sky sometimes when we think we aren't going to make budget. It's just one of those really wonderful service organizations in the community. This is one of the treatment rooms where we have 35 affiliated contracted therapists that provide what we call body work. And so what we know from the research from Harvard Medical School and the Osher Center and the Benson Henry Institute of Mind-Body Medicine is that there is a connection between the brain-body interaction. And so when we do work that reduces stress and relieves pain and suffering, that we're actually able to influence disease progression and wellness progression. So the therapists do everything from oncology massage to acupuncture to myofascial release, which is fascia is the connective tissue underneath our skin and around our organs and our muscles that can be traumatized by surgery, by chemotherapy. They do lymphedema management, so people who have had surgery and had lymph nodes removed can have pooling of fluid under their skin, which is a lifetime problem they have that we manage for them. And all the things we do are intended to improve their quality of life. We're not a medical facility. We are a complementary adjunct therapy that now integrative medicine is like the next new thing in medicine. We're looking at how the brain and the body, the whole system's approach to health and wellness. They're not just treating things in silos anymore. And you'll find that's true not just in oncology, but it's true in primary care, it's true in pediatrics, it's true in diabetes, that all these things that affect our risks for health, our environment, our lifestyles are things that can be used to improve health and wellness. We have programs and classes. This is Bernadette Yao, who offers a healing sound therapy class. Those are crystal bowls, and then the really small ones are ancient Tibetan bowls that she has, that are thousands of dollars. They are all toned. They actually vibrate and create a vibrating sound, which actually integrates with our sensory systems in our bodies and helps to reduce stress. There's scientific research on all of this stuff about how it actually works. We abut property that is a horse farm, and so we have meditation classes, and then we go over through the woods to the horses, and we have a meditation with horses. All the energy that's in the universe and the earth, of which we are energy, there's energy in the flora, the fauna. It's all reciprocal, and we can be receiving it and giving it. And so we make sure that clients utilize all the ways that they can have energetic influence over their wellness. This is the garden room at the Healing Garden, and it's where we do 7 or 8 different kinds of support groups. You can see in this photograph that we have men, we have women, we have people of color, different cultures. They come from all over. We have people, the treatments, the support groups are all run by mental health counselors, licensed social workers, psychologists, and they really support people through the psychological process of what it means to have a life-threatening, life-limiting disease. They're new in treatment, post-treatment, and we have several advanced stage, incurable, living with cancer and in treatment forever till end of life. We have a bereavement group. We have a young women's group who are focusing on parenting well, having a terminal illness. And we have a partners group and caregivers group, because we know that caregivers are at equal risk for health disparities. It's been proven that their stress levels go up and their ability to care for themselves goes down. And so there's a whole other health dilemma paradigm for the caregivers as well. We do retreats where on the weekends we have couples or caregivers and patients come in, and they're taught about healthy nutrition, how to serve food that is palatable to those that have difficulty swallowing, difficulty eating, difficulty digesting. This bottom, they're learning safe massage techniques and ways that they can care for one another through the difficult process. We have expressive arts therapy, and so there's, large portions of our clientele do not want to talk about, but they need a way of processing their emotions. And so there's various ways that we have classes that give them opportunities to express themselves, to explore what they're thinking about, what they're feeling, what's happening to them, so that they can manage this journey that they're on that they really have no control over. Movement and exercise are huge components of survivorship. This is a Tai Chi Qigong class that they do outside the Healing Garden in the moss. All of these things focus on breath work and gentle movement, and it's a meditative practice. It's also a movement practice, which helps with range of motion, all things that are prescribed and help. This is a client that came all the way from Braintree. She was living in a homeless shelter when she was diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer. She was able to, she was in a homeless shelter, she had a job, she lost her job because after the surgery she was no longer able to do the lifting she needed to do, so she had to find housing. She has come to the Healing Garden to receive free care. She's come to the Healing Garden because we can resource with our social workers funding for her food and housing insecurity. So we get grants from other agencies, third-party agencies that provide things for these families and these children. We got her children into camp while she was in active treatment And we even had funding where her clunker of a car died and was no longer roadworthy, and we got her car going again to keep her afloat with her, keeping her children engaged in school and activities to keep them off the streets. This is one of the horticultural therapy classes. It's a big part of what we do as well. So the clients are learning to make planters with herbs and edibles and changing their diets, because we know that a clean eating diet and how you're nutritionally feeding yourself is really important to how well your body functions, metabolizing the energy and the byproducts that we need for healing and for wellness. We have a relationship with UMass Medical School. These are medical school students that come to the Healing Garden to do in-services with us, where they learn about integrative medicine and about complementary care that we provide to patients. I laugh because this medical student, I don't know if you can read her shirt, Chi, it says the original renewable resource, which is Chi is the internal energy of life that we all possess. I thought that was kind of cute. We also are an approved internship site with Lesley University with second-year expressive art therapist graduate students. So they come during the academic year, which means we get 3 days a week of help servicing our patients and counseling and developing programs for our patients through there, and then they get credit for their internship. We have many, many ways that people can volunteer. Here's Tractor Jim from Boxborough, and some other volunteers. We have a green up day in 2 weeks on a Saturday where volunteers come up. We bring your leaf blowers, we rake, we put out mulch, we pick up all the debris from the winter time, and then we have volunteers that come and manage all of the flower gardens all summer long. And then the fall, we have a close-up day where we close up the ponds, take out the motors and the filters, and put things to bed for the season. We have a koi fish pond, and we're hoping in 2 weeks the fish are still there at the bottom. It's always a surprise when and if they are. And we are a service organization. We raise our money at our fundraising events every year. We have a budget of $450,000 we have to raise to make budget. For the last 5 years, we've done well. This year, we are having a budget deficit for the first time, and I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if it's the economy, if it's people worrying about, our leadership in the country, if philanthropy is changing a bit. It's hard to tell. We're able to survive it because we have, a good cash position at the moment, but we rely on the community to help when the times get tough, and that has happened over the course of the 20 years we've been in existence. But if you're interested in being on a board, if you're interested in being on an advisory committee, if you're interested in working in the gardens with us occasionally, or on just, helping us at events, we really look for that. There's a different Lions Club that comes and installs a huge tent because we have a ride and walk event, half-century, full-century cycling event, and a walk event, all happening on the same day. It's a big party with music and bonfires and food, and it's a great day, and it's a great way to join up with other clubs and other community members in support of this service that it's really wonderful to have in our community. We have had lots of Stow people. We currently have quite a number that are in our care, and it's great to know that that's around the corner if this happens to anybody that that's in your family. I brought handouts that I didn't want to give because everybody reads them instead of listening to you, but you can take them home. So if you know anybody or know someone that has an affinity for cancer and that world and they would be interested, please introduce our organization to them. It's word of mouth. We don't do any marketing. It's all, just me speaking at different organizations and people passing along that information. So thank you for the time to introduce it to all of you. And if you have any questions. Now we redid our website and really tried to optimize so that we would be searchable. Yeah, there's 2 stacks. One of them.